Chapter 7.3, more multiplication properties of exponents. More, because we've already learned some. We're going to learn how to raise a power to a power. This is called power of a power rule, and you're going to hear me say that a few times. And whenever you raise a power to a power, or an exponent has another exponent right next to it, then you multiply the exponents. So they give you some examples here, and I'll just make some up. Let's say we do 3 to the third to the fourth. That is power of a power. Power of a power. So you're going to multiply the exponents. It's really 3 to the 3 times 4, which is 3 to the 12th. Now this part right here is just to show you what to do. I really don't expect you to write that down when you really start doing the work. That's just to kind of remind you that we're multiplying. Whenever there's really not a whole lot of work to show here. Then we could do like a variable and say like q to the 5th to the 2/5. So again, that's power of a power. So we're going to multiply them. It's going to be q to the 5 times 2/5. And if you multiply fractions, well, this is a whole number, but you can make it a fraction by putting it over 1. When you multiply them, you multiply all the way across the top. 5 times 2 is 10. This will be q to the 10 over, and then all the way across the bottom. 1 times 5 is 5. And always reduce if you can. So q to the 10/5 is actually going to be q to the 2nd. And if you caught that back here, you can cancel before you multiply. So really you could go back and cancel the 5s. And it would just be 2 over 1, which would skip that part and we'd go straight to the 2. And that's just going back to how well you know your fraction rules. And a lot of you don't know your fraction rules really well. So I'm going to actually do it this way, and then I'll show you the easier way afterwards. Maybe you'll pick it up. Alright, so example 1, we're going to write the simplified form of n to the 4th to the 7th. So this is power of a power, so we're going to multiply the exponents. What's 4 times 7? N to the 4 times 7, so the answer is going to be n to the 28th. I don't know why I wrote that down there. Let me write that up higher. N to the 28th. So that's the answer there. And then B, what's the simplified form of x to the 2/3 to the 1/2? And I know y'all are going to freak out because you always do when you see fractions, but don't worry about it. It's easy. Multiplying fractions is really the easiest thing you could do with fractions. You just multiply all the way across the top and then just multiply all the way across the bottom. So x to the 2/3 to the 1/2 is actually x to the 2/3 times 1/2, which is going to be x to the 2 over 6. And you can reduce that to x to the 1/3. And remember I said I was going to show you how to go all the way back and do it the easy way. So instead of just multiplying across, what we want to do is look and see if we can find a way to cancel here. So I see the 2 2's. We can cancel those. 2 cancels a 2, and I'm left with 1 over 3, and that skips that whole middle thing, and I go straight to 1/3. Okay, so that's the example 1. Now I'm going to let you do some got it questions. I've got 2 that are I just want you to multiply 2 whole numbers, and then number 3, I want you to multiply the fraction. And on that fraction there is no canceling, so you're just going to multiply all the way across the top and all the way across the bottom. Alright, pause it, do your got it questions, and catch up with me on example 2. Alright, example 2. What is this simplified form of y to the 3rd times y to the 5/2 to the negative 2? So I've got power of a power and product of powers. So I'm going to multiply these exponents and then add these exponents. So let's go ahead and simplify this part. Y to the, let me change the color. Y to the 3rd, and this is actually going to be y to the 5/2 times negative 2. And we can put the 2 over 1 if it makes you feel more comfortable. And then if you multiply it, you get negative 10 over 2, which reduces to negative 5. Or the 2's will just cancel and you get y to the negative 5. So that ends up being y to the third times y to the negative 5. And now for that, you add your exponents. So you get 3 plus negative 5 is going to be y to the negative 2. But remember, you can't have the negative exponent right there, so you're going to have to push it to the bottom. And if there's nothing left on top, then you put a 1 there, and that's going to be your answer. Alright, B. Always first you want to do power of a power, and then you're going to do the product of powers. Just like if you're doing order of operations, you do exponents first. So we're going to deal with this exponent first, then we're going to deal with the multiplication. So power of a power, you multiply. So this is actually going to be S. And a lot of people ask, why do I do that little tail on the S? It's to, if I didn't do that tail, you would think it was a 5. Most students do. So I make a little tail on the S. And you might want to do that on your paper just to make sure you don't think your own S is a 5. So it's going to be S to the negative 5 times negative 1/2. You can put the 5 over 1 if it makes you feel more comfortable. Don't forget the rest of the problem. Negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. So it's 5/2 times S to the 3/2. Now, this is product of powers. So you add your exponents. And adding is not the easiest thing to do with fractions because you have to have a common denominator. But in this case, we already have a common denominator. So we're just going to add and keep the denominator. So this is going to be S, keep the denominator of 2, and 5 plus 3 is 8. And always reduce if you can. So S to the 4th power is going to be our answer because 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay? Got it? Number 4 and 5. We've got power of a power, then product of powers. Number 5, power of a power, and then product of powers. Pause it, finish these 2 questions, and get back with me right afterwards. Alright, if you have any questions or comments, you can email me at richards.emily@hcboe.us. You can Remind 101 me, which is kind of like you're just texting me. If you haven't signed up, it's at Miss Rich A1B. That's a 1. It looks like an L to me, but it's a 1B to 81010. And if you choose to do the Remind 101 route, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to try to say something to me, which you can't, and it'll tell you you can't say something to me, but if you want to chat with Miss Richards, you're going to text at chat at Miss Rich A1B, and then it'll open up a chat with you. And then you could also go on Facebook, facebook.com/Miss Richards Classroom, and participate in the discussion, of course, and that's only at the Facebook page. You participate in the discussion, and you'll get bonus points on your participation grade. Also, like that page so you can get the updates from it, and you can contact me there. And you can also contact me on my website, which I don't have up here, but it's erichards.yolasite.com. Which I'm thinking you probably went there to get the video, but just in case, there's the website. Alright, so any questions or comments, make sure you contact me. Make sure you have your 5 answers to your guided questions to bring into me beginning of class, and I will see you tomorrow.